Members, we are moving to our third round. I have the Conservatives up first, MP Chambers up for 5 minutes.
My first question is, and I hope there's someone that can answer, and if not, perhaps we can follow up. Were there savings booked from the closure of border crossings for small vessels by CBSA, drastically reducing them from about 400 to 80? And I ask because there seems to be I think a misconception about the travel and tourism sector as it relates to boating. If you want to enter Georgian Bay under the new rules of closing these CBSA crossings, you actually have to go 355 kilometers out of your way one way or 230 kilometers out of your way another way. The tourism sector, especially in my community, is on its knees across the country, and we're going to make it harder for people to visit our communities. And that kind of leads into the luxury tax. And the question I have is, do we have a breakdown, and can you provide the committee a breakdown of the luxury tax expected revenues by the asset class? Is that something that we could get for the committee?
Of the three asset classes, around 70% of the revenues we believe will come from automobiles, roughly 20% from boats, and the remainder from aircraft.
Thank you. That's very helpful. I would appreciate kind of a written response on that to confirm, but I certainly appreciate that. The challenge is people are making decisions for recreational activities, and I noticed that we're not including RVs. Not that I'm suggesting you should, but you're creating now a disparity and inequality between recreational opportunities for people. You cannot buy a cottage now for under, insert the number, in some communities $400,000, $500,000, $700,000, and people are now deciding how they want to access recreational activities. And now the government's saying, well, if you boat, we have to tax you. And I think that's, it's middle-class people that are now, or were, substituting boats for cottages, and this is happening all across Ontario. And in particular, in my community, we have 25 marinas, 15 boat dealers. Like, these are jobs in communities that thrive on the sales and the maintenance of these vessels. And we're creating I think a really disadvantageous system for a number of our communities. We're not going after really expensive art. We're not going after that really expensive watch. We've decided to target vessels because I think there's a misconception that only rich people buy boats, and it couldn't be further from the truth. I hope that people from the government come to my community. I invite them all to come and show them around about who's purchasing some of these vessels. And it's not for the officials to answer a policy question, so I'll just ask whether other asset classes like art, like RVs, were considered as part of the luxury tax. I don't have to ask why they were not included, but were they considered?
In respect to RVs, when the tax was originally announced as part of Budget 2021, there were already an exemption for RVs proposed, so a carve-out from the vehicles subject to the tax.
Thank you very much. And I would submit that the reason the carve-out was imposed because it would be political suicide to include a luxury tax on a recreational vehicle. So someone's going to have to explain to me, and it's not a fair question to officials, but the government is going to have to explain to Canadians why they've created this unequal footing. And it is, I think, completely unfair, and it's going to be an assault on a number of small communities that rely on tourism and these jobs. I'm getting messages from people today that are saying they have to lay people off. I'm also getting messages from people saying they have workers, salespeople who are quitting their jobs because they don't think there's a future in the industry anymore for them.